Stop the cap.
I don't know who this brother is with the dreads. He often wears a hat, an ivory hat. I've seen his content a couple of times. And I saw that clip that I just posted on my community tab of him talking about what do black men control and produce, and his broad generalization. And you got black women in there fucking co-signing. I swear to God, I can't stand these black women, and I'm gonna explain why I can't stand them. Because again, it's always motherfuckers can't do basic math. They can't go from point A to point B and make any sort of logical connection. They just want to skip to black women are blameless and we don't have anything to do with this, and men are self-actualized. And why aren't our black men self-actualized? It doesn't fucking work like that. I have spent years arguing with Captain Solo about this point. And generally at this point, he concedes. Because when it comes to Captain Solo, I had to point out to him the whole aspect of, his mother essentially being, abusive, the women in his family being abusive, his dad, not doing the right thing because, his wife cheated on him and went off and had a baby by another man. So he just shut down, which is fucked up on his part, because it's like, dude, you can't just shut down. You already got a son out there. I totally agree that it's a problem when men operate like they're single and shut down. What's funny is Tribe of Men he just pointed that out. He's like, hey, if you sitting at home and you childless and you just playing video games, I totally get it. But if you got a family and shit like that, like, you can't quit. You already brought life into the world. Like, fuck that. So I feel Cap on that. But when it comes to like Cap's whole demeanor, when it comes to life, anytime you're a child and adults fuck you up because they don't do the right thing, 9 times out of 10 you're going to grow into a person that you cannot tolerate relying on other people. You will never allow there to be a situation where you rely on other people. There is an aspect of that that's beautiful, but there's also an aspect of that is detrimental and anti-community. Because when you're talking about a community, you're talking about interdependence. You're talking about the ability to rely on other people. Because that's what makes a community. I mean, what is a community if you can't rely on the person standing next to you? So when you end up with a situation of abuse, which is what Captain Solo grew up in, and then you take on the idea that being a man and manhood is some self-actualized shit, and it's just this burning desire in you, you've missed the boat. You've missed the big picture, because then that ignores all the things that actually go into manhood training. It's a fucking training. Like Captain Solo's a Marine. I'm like, no, why don't they just hand you an M16 and push you off of a boat or push you out of a plane? Why do you actually have to go to boot camp to get trained? All the things that they teach you in boot camp. Everything to fucking to shedding you of individualism, right? That whole no man left behind attitude that the Marines have, right? That self-sacrificing, that has to be taught. Whatever you come in there with as a civilian, and maybe I need to calm down and stop yelling, whatever you come in there as a civilian with, the military has to shed you of that, and they build you back up. They tear you down and they build you back up, and they mold you into a new person with a new psyche, because they need you to be a fucking fighting machine. The problem with the matriarchy and all this other bullshit is, first off, women don't go through any fucking training process. This was the whole problem with the whole Star Wars and fucking, what's the chick's name? Ren or whatever her name is. Where all of a sudden she knows how to fly the fucking Millennium Falcon off of instinct. She all of a sudden knows how to use a lightsaber and fight somebody who's well trained because, women's intuition, right? Where Luke Skywalker had to go through years of training. He had to go to Dagobah and go hang out with Yoda, right? There was a growth arc. Women don't operate in growth arcs. This is the delusion of fucking women. Women are magical as fuck. And when women are raising boys exclusively, they teach the boys to be magical as fuck. That's why we got a bunch of magical hoteps running around. And the vast majority of them were raised by single mothers. What I can't stand is, like, again, we got 61% of black women that are mothers in the black community, with only 46% of black men are fathers. Black women outnumber black men by about 2 million. If you paired up every black man with every black woman, there's a gap, a parental gap of 4.3 million parents. That's the difference between the parents. And some of you all have heard me say this repeatedly. That is significant. Okay? And one of the main problems in the black community with all this feminist bullshit, all these stupid ass ideas that these women have, and what pisses me off is women go out here, there's consequences to your stupid ass ideas and your stupid ass feminism. There's consequences to that shit. And what y'all do is y'all go out here thinking, oh, I can get with any man and I can charge him with the responsibility, right? You got all these stupid ass ideas that either you don't need a man, or it's inconsequential for you to get a man that has no knowledge or skills to pass on to his son, right? Like the guy in the video was talking and he was bringing up, like trying to compare us to other groups and completely ignoring the fact, and women do this shit as well, completely ignoring the fact that all of those other groups are patriarchal and prioritize males. The black community does not prioritize males. It is stupid and nonsensical to charge males with community level responsibilities that are greater than the responsibilities of women, or require more capabilities than women, and you don't want to invest in the boys. You don't want to prioritize boys. You don't want to put boys first, but you want the outcomes of patriarchal communities. You know what I got to say to that? Fuck all of you on that shit. If you want boys to take on the lion's share and the burden of responsibility, not only do you have to have male leadership, not only do you got to be willing to follow male leadership, okay, you got to be willing to invest in the boys and prioritize boys over girls. That's what you need to do. You need to prioritize them over girls. You cannot have this fake ass equality where, oh, we're 50-50 and yada, 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 but we're going to have the boys do all of the building, all the maintaining, all of the defending, all of the controlling the resources. Hell, the feminism will argue, why do the men get to control all the resources? Like, it's dumb. It's dumb. And what makes me want to put hands on bitches when it comes to the fucking feminists is the fact that they go out here and they have no issue charging men with community level responsibilities. They go out here and they get with men that can't even teach, train, educate, in sons, because they don't have the capabilities, because all you were cared about was big dicks and swag. And so now you got this big dick and swag dude that eventually you're going to break up with because you're going to get sick and tired of that nigga. Now you got a fucking 15-year-old son, right, who's got no guidance in the world. You're filling his head with all this feminist equality bullshit. All right? And then he goes out there in the world and gets measured by the patriarchal standard that you don't even fucking believe in. And then when he fails, then you say, oh, it's because black men, they just can't do. It's in their DNA. They're just intrinsically this, that, and the third. Fuck you again. Fuck all you bitches and the simp-ass niggas that co-sign the shit. Fuck all of you. I'm sick of that shit. If you want strong men, you have to invest in the growth and the development of strong men. It is not innate. It is not intrinsic. It does not just happen. I don't care. Hell, even in movies, you go to fucking the fucking racist ass movie 300, right? And what happened? The boy at 7 years old was taken away from his mother, and he had to go through the Agobe. Okay, he had to go through his manhood rite of passage. Yeah, his mother didn't like it. Oh, you taking my little sweet boy away. But that's how you get fucking men. But since black women don't like patriarchy so goddamn much, and we're way past critical mass, where 80%, 81% of firstborn African-American children are born out of wedlock, I don't know what you all expect. And then when it comes to Africa, this dude, those are two totally separate situations. The black communities that did exist and thrive in the African-American community in America were either burnt down, destroyed by some white purge, or had a fucking highway ran through it by Robert Moses and the 1954 Federal Highways Commission Act. When it comes to Africa, we all know Africa, that's tied to neocolonialism, corrupt African leaders, right? But they actually have resources and gold and land that they can actually fucking control. That is not the dynamic and not the situation of African Americans. There is no land or any resources that sit beneath our feet that we own, operate, or control. We came here as a slave population, and then we were marginalized for 355 years. Then we were marginalized for another 100 years. And the little bit that black men did establish and did create, a bunch of jealous whites came in there and burnt it down. Which is why when white people got to deal with carjackings and home invasions and Ray and Pookies and everything else, fuck them too. You have the black people that you deserve. You have the black criminals that you motherfucking deserve. Every time black men established the community, tried to be fucking productive and everything else, here y'all come in fucking it up. Black Wall Street, Ocoee, Florida, freaking Wilmington, North Carolina, Slocum, Texas, Elaine, Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? Omaha, Nebraska, Springfield, Illinois, Chicago, 1919. Here y'all come fucking the shit up. Corbin, Kentucky. Here y'all come fucking the shit up. America has the black people it deserves. But when we get into these other internal conversations about how come black men don't have X, Y, and Z to offer, where has this been supported? Where has black men being ahead of black women enough to offer black women more than black women can offer themselves? Where has that collectively been supported? It has not. It has not. And again, I can't stop black women from fucking whoever the fuck they want to fuck. Hip hop culture, street culture has been extremely detrimental to the black community. And these women and what they desire, and I want a future, I want a nigga that's already got 8 baby mamas. Again, the Cam Newton situation. I'm going to go and get with a nigga that's literally not going to be in the lives of his children because he can't. Because 9 times out of 10, yeah, you get your freedom, you get your autonomy, you can go off and be a feminist and everything else. You get the baby, you get the bag, and none of the patriarchy. That's what a lot of y'all fucking want. But when you go off and you do that intentionally, and you get with a man like Future, and have his baby because you're like, ooh, this nigga got 8 kids. That means that he's only going to be dealing with me 1/8 of the time, and I get his money, and I get to go off and do whatever the fuck I want to do, and you completely ignore the guidance that your male son is not getting, right? Because even if Future was an active father, he can only be there 1/8 of the time because he's got 8 different households that he's got to jump around to. A lot of y'all bitches be doing that shit intentionally. And then you complain about at the 11th hour, literally, it is 11:59, and y'all bitches complaining about what's not being built in the community and how the community's all fucked up and broken and everything. And then you get these fucking simp ass niggas. I know he was like, oh, don't call me as no, nigga. You lack details, nigga. You lack details. Manhood is a training process. If you're not talking about a training process, then you can fucking forget about it and wrap it up. And one of the main issues that we have, it's not just, oh, well, we're the men that doing the training. The problem is that the boys that are being born to men that don't even have those capabilities. It is absurd to sit there and ask a group of men that do not have the genetic investment in these boys, meaning men who are not biological fathers, to do the duties of a biological father. This is why I look at black women with a side eye when they go out here and they get with a nigga with no fucking skills and have a goddamn baby by skillless niggas. And then complain later on at the 11th hour about why the black community is broken and that's why we don't submit and why we don't follow. Look at who the fuck you got with. You get with dust and then you want gold to somehow manifest out of the loins of dust. That makes no fucking sense, you silly ass bitches. That makes no fucking sense. Jesus. This shit fucking just fucking makes my head explode. Or I should say Hotep. God, this shit pisses me off. You're not going to get that out of the decisions that are being made. What's going on in Africa, neocolonialism, the corrupt governments, all that shit, that's a completely separate issue. Ain't no global, it's all a global blackage. Those are completely separate issues, completely different pathology going on in fucking Africa. Ask a goddamn tether what's going on with that shit. When it comes to African Americans, I can speak to that. But to sit there and conflate the two like one size fits all, no. That's like the dumb shit that white people do when they try to conflate inner city gun violence with white boys doing mass shootings. Those are two completely different fucking problems. Yes, they both involve guns, but they're two completely different problems. Damn. Every time a nigga gets up on the microphone and says this shit, and the black women, yes, that's right, I know that's right. Put all these bitches on the stand when it comes to who the fuck their baby daddy is. And they'll be embarrassed. Because they laying down with dust. They laying down with niggas that ain't built nothing, ain't producing nothing, none of that shit, but yet want to sit up in here and complain about the collective of what black men don't have to offer. Bitch, fuck you. And on that note, I'm out. I'm done. My voice is all fucked up. Irritated even watching that shit. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.